It's Saturday. It's 2021. 21. No more of that 20 shit. Moving on. I got my good friend Aaron Martin here with me. He is an actor, and it's really weird for me because I've never saw it in him, and I get to talk to him about it. We're live on Facebook for those of you that are tuning in for that. This is kind of a new thing. We've only done a couple of these live Facebook things, but like I said, we're gonna do things a little differently this year. I'm gonna have more guests and less of those tired old fussy guys that I usually have with me. I don't know, like we're just doing stuff. We're trying to keep up with things. I'm gonna make fun of the Cowboys at some point, I'm sure.
I would expect nothing less.
So we are almost in agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Hit us up, give us a like and share, tell your friends about us, help us get it out there. We're still a politics podcast, but we're kind of broadening our horizons a little bit. Hence, we bring an actor on board. So it is the 2nd of January, 2021. Almost Agreement is getting started. Almost. Time that right. Almost. Man, I missed it by like 15 seconds. All right, close enough. Now, here we go. Aaron. It is good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you too, brother. It's been a long time.
It has been. You went from here to Texas, and now you're back in Tennessee, but in the wrong
city.
Okay,
Sure.
So that's where I guess I need to start. We'll start on a bummer, and we'll get better from there. What the fuck happened on Christmas?
From what I understand, man, it was some guy that's been planning this for a while and parked his RV down on 2nd Avenue and blew himself up.
Because, I mean, I've heard all sorts of random shit, and I've seen some of the national news on it, and I haven't gotten anything motive-wise out of it. Like, I've heard some 5G conspiracy. I heard some shit about AT&T was supposedly auditing the ballot systems or some shit like that. And
right, I heard that too about the Dominion stuff. And but from what they said is that this guy, it was the 5G thing and people spying on him or something like that, I think. But it's an article or something I read last week or whenever it came out was that somebody had tipped off.
Right, it was a girlfriend or something. Yeah, I heard about that.
A year ago.
Yeah, I heard about it. I think it was like a girlfriend or something.
Yeah, and so they kind of knew. I guess they kind of knew about it then, but that's what they're saying. Is it was a suicide. I mean, the guy's a terrorist. There's no doubt about it. He's a suicide bomber. He's a terrorist, but they don't say that.
Because he's a white dude.
Right, because he's that's absolutely white.
I see what you did there. I don't like it's what's weird to me is even just the proximity sake of it, how not new. I mean, I guess nobody died except for him, so it's not a real tragedy in the sense it's not like a 9/11 where there were a building full of people. Everything he hit was empty. A couple people got some. I mean, as far as I heard, at least only a few people got hurt, and they were pretty minor.
3 people, I believe, got hurt. Yeah.
And so those persons, and again, from what I understood of it, it was broadcasting, "Hey, get out of here! I'm blowing this thing up." And so, but the lack of media attention on it to me is kind of weird. I haven't heard.
That's what I thought, because I was out walking the dogs at 6:30 and I heard it, and I thought, well, that was an explosion. That wasn't fireworks or gunshots you hear in East Nashville. That was something that blew up, and it came out later about the announcement that the speakerphone, over the PA or whatever, said, "Get away. This is going to blow up in 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever." Because everybody was like, what, how did the cops know it was a shady looking RV? What was it? But the cops had already been there. From what I understand, they'd been there for an hour.
Oh, okay.
There were gunshots called in,
right?
Maybe 5:30 in the morning. So they show up looking for gunshots. They didn't find any. So they'd been there and they saw the RV, which whatever it looked like. I think they looked in there and found the bomb, found it. And they had called in the people and they got there too late, So
Gotcha.
That's why the cops started evacuating everybody in that area.
Gotcha.
For almost a full hour, I think, maybe 30 minutes, but.
Right, and not to lend credence to conspiracy theory, but there is some weird shit with AT&T and the intel community. But I'll leave that alone. We're not going into that.
I don't. It's a suicide bomb, but there's more to it than what they are saying. It's my opinion.
Right. We'll find out. No, we won't. We might. We'll see. All right, bummers out of the way. Bummers out of the way. So, when did you leave Knoxville? You left in what?
2012.
2012. God damn, it was a long time ago.
8 years ago, man.
Yeah, and then you just came back to Nashville, what, 2 years ago? A year and a half?
No, we've been back a year and 3 months, 2 months. We came back October of 19.
Gotcha.
Moved back here to East Nashville.
Word. And so what, I don't know, and I don't mean this insulting in any way, but like I did not see you as an actor. Is it something you've always done and it's just not something that we ever talked about when you were around here? I know like music and performance was kind of in the family. I know your brother's big into performing musically.
Oh yeah.
And I know you played.
A musician, yeah.
Right, and I knew you played and you had different bands and different performing groups that you'd done musically, but I didn't know that acting was part of you. And
yeah, well, that was Chase. Chase was the band's thing. I would maybe sing with him every once in a while if I had too much to drink. But Chase was the musician. He's the guy that can play any instruments. And but no, the acting thing, man. You know, who doesn't as a kid want to be a movie star, right? I mean, I've always thought about it growing up. I never knew how to do it. I never had the balls or whatever to go after it. I never knew how, so I just didn't. And honestly, I just kind of fell into it when I moved to Texas.
Right.
It just sort of happened. It wasn't a plan because I moved to Texas to work for the sheriff's department.
Really?
That's what I had, because my older brother, he's retired law officer, and he had mentioned to me back then that the sheriff's department was hiring. And so I did the application and went through all that mess. And so that's what I had moved out there for, and that fell through when I got out there because Chase was out there at the time.
Right.
Also.
I know, like your family is from there, right? That's where your family,
No, we're from here.
Okay.
My older brother's been out there for 25 years, or something like that, over 20. And Chase had moved out there to Denton. He was probably there a year before I got there. But he was there, and I was in Knoxville, and their roommate had moved out, and I said, okay, well, I'm on my way.
Right.
Pretty much. But with the job part lined up, I thought, and that fell through a discrepancy through the application that I filled out, that the lady told me that she would have to disqualify me if they put it through. So she just said, withdraw it and you can reapply here in a few months, whatever. So that kind of fell through, right? And the acting thing happened after that because I was there, didn't have a job lined up, and I got a flyer in the mail for a community college. So that's where I went. I applied at the community college, applied for financial aid, and started going to school to get an associate's in criminal justice. That was the plan. And then I took an acting class.
Just so you could light a perps better. I get it. I see what you're like. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to go interview somebody, you need to have some, be able to make them feel like you care about them.
Sure. I've got a good friend. Good friend. He's a friend. Great actor. His name was James Healy. He's a police officer for 30 years, and he's been an actor for just as long. So yeah, I mean, even my older brother, who I got involved in a little project back in Texas, is a natural actor. You have to be. To me, if you're an officer, you kind of have to be
right. You got to stand there and pretend like you're not shitting your pants when shit's going sideways.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, that's kind of how that happened, man. It was I needed electives, and I took the acting class, and the teacher of that class, her name is Julie Brinker, who I considered to still be kind of a mentor for me. She's kind of the reason I am where I am, which I'm not,
I mean, are you working full time or you got another job?
I'm a substitute teacher at my old high school, so that's my job, I guess. But with COVID, the COVID knocked everything sideways.
Right.
All across the board. So there's stuff happening filming wise, but yes, that was my goal. That back in 2018, I quit my job at UNT to try full time acting to get work and whatever I could get, commercials, short films, whatever, paid.
Right.
So.
Because I mean,
that just
right. Because you've done some stuff, and I guess the only name that, like, there's a couple people that you've done work with that I recognize their face, but the big one, you did a play with Tom Hiddleston. Is that right?
Oh, it was it was a movie, the Hank Williams movie.
Okay, because I mean, I just remember the photos that you sent was like stage stuff, and so I don't know why I assumed it was. Like
it was the just stills from the set. It was up on it was in a I don't know if it was in a church, but it was on a stage when we were shooting the wedding scene.
Right.
I mean, it was extra work. That's what it was, but it was they chose me to be the preacher in that little scene. So yeah, I got to talk to him. He's that much taller than I am. He's a big guy, but he's extremely nice. He was really, really cool.
That's cool. And so like the biggest one, the biggest feature that you've done so far would have been the longest yard, or not the longest yard. I'm sorry. I prepped myself for this and I still said
great
it
film
wrong.
though.
The last yard, what is it?
The Last Whistle.
Last Whistle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I've dogged you for relentlessly, and it's on the Netflix still, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Netflix
I've started
starring,
it. I've started it twice, but I haven't had the opportunity to finish it just because of the way my schedule works now. Because the only time I get the TV to myself is when the missus is at work, and like you said, COVID throws everything off, and so she's not working down on campus anymore. And so, we don't. That's just not on the agenda of things to do. But it's saved in my watch list. I just haven't got a chance to do it yet. But that's cool. I'm very happy for you. You seem pleased with it, and other than deer in your yard,
I appreciate that, man.
Other than deer in your yard that need to get harvested for dinner, your Facebook page is at least a happy family home.
Oh, it's good stuff, man. My wife Ellen, she's fantastic. I mean, that's another thing about Texas. That's where I met her. I owe everything to Texas, if you ask me, because if I had to move there,
right?
I mean, I wouldn't have gotten into acting. I wouldn't have gotten into the theater, because that's what came first, was the theater, and that's where I met her in a show called Young Frankenstein, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, I got my 2 dogs and a cat and the turkeys and the deer in the yard. And my mom lives with us.
There you go.
One big happy family.
Hey, whatever works for you, man. It's fun getting older and watching some people change and some people not. Like Big Tyler's the same exact dude. I haven't actually got to see him much. The last time I actually got to talk to him was another bad news story with stupid ass Will. In that situation.
Yeah. That's sad.
And it's that's one of those things. It's one of those things that we all do as we get older. Like, people come and go, and it just happens. And then there's one thing, and it's usually not a good thing when it brings everybody back together for at least a few minutes. And
yeah,
I didn't go just because it was Pint House stuff.
I still keep up with Tyler on Facebook.
I touch base with him. I make fun of the Yankees at him every once in a while. Like him and Spangler. If the Yankees do something stupid, because I don't care about baseball.
I forgot about Spangler.
That's funny. I've been trying to figure out how to get the objective argument over music into the podcast at some point. That Spangler and I had to death about the sexuality of the Owl City song that I enjoyed so much, and that history. Because that's it's just one of those fun arguments I like to have, which I mean, that was kind of part of the genesis for me. I loved having those things, like those kind of stupid, silly arguments that don't make a difference, but just in the time, right. It's a fun conversation to have. And especially when you can beat him every time, because Josh is really easy to beat. He's got married. He married a chick with a kid, and he's having their second together, I think. I think they're pregnant right now.
That's cool, man.
Babies popping up all over the place. But again, I don't keep up with most of them other than what they post through Facebook.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I see Tyler's stuff. I guess he and I don't talk. Keith and I talk still all the time. And Maddie and I, every now and then, we'll message each other during football season.
What the
pick up the snake, Maddie?
Yeah, Raiders, Maddie.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's he feel about them going to Las Vegas?
We hadn't actually mentioned it. I don't think he cares. He's a Raiders fan, man.
I mean, he's just used to him being a loser. It doesn't matter what city they're in. They
yeah.
But it's such a perfect football team for him. Like, he doesn't seem like the football type anyway, and so for him to have a perpetual black loser. The general theme look wise with him as a person, it just fits. I think he got married too, if I saw correctly.
He looks different, man. His hair's all cut off. Yeah, he's married. I think they have 3 kids, 4.
Really?
Something like that.
Jesus.
I can't remember. I think his wife's name is Emily, and I think maybe she had a 2, and they've been together for a long time, and then they have a son together.
Nice. I know.
Yeah, he's got his hair all cut off, short and trimmed and clean cut looking.
Nice. I saw Bobby, the bass player.
Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby, the bass player, is he works up off Broadway. I ran into him when I was in his place of employ. Yeah, that's it. I hired Keith when COVID hit. I gave her some temp work when the Pine House.
Oh, at the E-Vape thing.
Yeah, when Pine House shut down for a little bit, we were talking about it. We didn't know what we were doing as far as we didn't know how long we were going to sit, but we fell under the essentials category. Maybe not exactly, but we felt like we could at least say we did. We sell beer, and beer is on the essentials list. So
yeah, booze is essential, bro.
Yeah, and so we figured we were comfortable flexing it, and so it's like we don't have a ton of extra, but we could use a little extra help, and there's plenty. Between Neil and I especially, we've been in restaurants and in and around restaurants long enough. We knew enough bartenders and servers. Oh sure. So we brought her in and a couple other people in to work part time for us until they got. I mean, a lot of people. What was weird about it is a lot of people didn't want it. They were better off taking the unemployment, depending on who they worked.
Oh really?
Depending on who they worked for. Some places made it was a little harder to get that kind of straightened out as far as how much unemployment, if they were getting unemployment, stuff like that. But yeah, that was fun. I'd talked to her on and off. I hadn't talked to her much, and all my other staff liked her a lot, but that's who she is.
Yeah. No, she's fantastic. No, we talk every now and then, just texting and stuff. She came out to Texas to my wedding.
Did she? Yeah, she came to my wedding too. I don't know what it is about her. She's always a bridesmaid, but not quite. She's good. She's a good friend, man. Yeah. I mean, I told her, because actually she was, the way we had it set up, if we could have done it with the grooms and the bridesmaids and that kind of thing, she was going to be my best man, because Chase did the ceremony. Right.
He got ordained or whatever, and Keith is going to be my best man. But that fell through. We had to have a much smaller thing. And so Chase still did the wedding, and she said she was still coming out. So I was like, well, you're still the best man.
It is however it has to be. We just work with what we got. Yeah. So. But
no, that was cool. But everybody else, man, I like the Pine House people, that's about it. I've talked to Keith quite a bit. Like the O'Charlie's crew, man, like even on the strip and on Merchants. Right. I still every now and then Ben and Bam, but basically it's the keeping up with them on Facebook, like you said.
I've seen Bam. Bam works. Bam's a manager in the Food City family of grocery stores. So I guess
that's right. I knew that. Yeah.
To clarify the backstory, is my day job. I work for one of the beer distributors, and I run around to all the grocery stores all day and screw around and try to make sure the beer looks good and make sure everything's right or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's and so Bobby works at one of the Food Cities, and I ran into him there. And then Bam's I think Bam's down in one of the Maryville stores now.
That's cool.
And again, like it's interesting, like looking back at it and like going into a little bit more social politics of the world right now is like, and I don't know, it didn't seem it was something we knew, and we all knew it at the time that Bam was transitioning and all that kind of shit, and nobody really seemed to give a shit. It just was. But this was 10 years ago.
This was 15 years ago.
Yeah, and
how long ago was it? It was.
I mean, it was. Yeah, well, I mean, it was when I was. Okay, so I left.
2006, 2005 was when Charlie's on the Strip closed down.
Right, so it was a couple years.
I went to Merchants after that. Yeah.
Yeah, I took a year off, and then I went to Merchants. So it was, and then he came along. He came along a couple years after I was there. So it was maybe 2010 at the latest.
Yeah.
But either way, 10 plus years ago, and it was like, whatever. Nobody cared.
Nobody gave a shit. Nobody gives a shit, man.
Right. That's the thing about it. And my brother-in-law is now my sister-in-law, and it's like, whatever.
Nobody cared. I was telling some people back, I guess, back in Texas, like, man, people have an opinion or a stereotype of the South. Nobody here gives a fuck about that stuff, man.
Right. And that's the thing. But that's the thing to me, is that it's like it became such a big vocal thing, at least through news and media, and like we get all the shit. I mean, in the acting community, like who is it that's getting in all sorts of trouble? The chick that played Black Widow, she's getting in all sorts of trouble for playing characters she shouldn't play because she's a straight white girl or whatever. And that whole controversy. And it's like one, you're an actor. If you're an actor, the point is to be somebody you are not. That is acting. If not, it's a documentary about your personal life, and then I don't care about that. And it's a different thing. But like the second part of it, it's like, but so like, yeah, like all this controversy nowadays that goes along with it. It's like, I didn't have a long list of people that I knew, but I mean, I had one particular example of Bam that is like, whatever. It was something, and people did mention it, and there was some metaphorical like finger pointing between staff from time to time that I remember, doing, but no, it was never like there was never a malice to the intent that there was anything that other than there's a level of uncomfort.
Yeah.
There's a level of discomfort that a person like Bam is going to have in the situation no matter what. And I don't recall any occasion where it was a problem, where it was something where somebody went out of their way.
So. I mean, somebody mentioned it to me, and I was like, okay, well, let's go get a beer. What do you want me to do about it? Good for him. Whatever. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good beard going now too. Like it was like, it's getting there, but not like that beautiful, properly symmetrical with the white spot in the middle too. I appreciate that on your beard right now.
Yeah, you like that? That's gray. That wasn't there when I was in Knoxville.
Well, it's because you left. You'd still be fully brown if you'd stayed here the whole time. Now that does bring.
And I'd be a drunk too.
Yeah. We've hopefully we all grow out of that, whether we're still in that life or not. But that reminded me of something though that one of our county commissioners was in here when they were on the campaign trail, and I was interviewing them for the show, and one of the things they were talking about, actually, I'm sorry, it's not she lost her race, but she's running for state senate, and one of the things she was talking about, and I don't know the facts of this, you may or may not know it, is apparently Knoxville, East Tennessee, is like the third or fourth largest, I guess, movie/television production area in the country right now.
That's kind of what I've heard. I don't know about like the third or fourth or whatever, but yeah, there's been things going on there for years, and I never knew when I lived there. I never knew there's
right. Like I knew we had HGTV. Like that was always like HGTV's always been here,
right?
But apparently Discovery, like a big chunk of Discovery's offices and production stuff comes out of here now.
There's some stuff, I don't know if it's still there, but there's some guys it's either called Hive Entertainment or Jupiter Entertainment, one or the other. They do some of those crime reenactment shows like we did back in Dallas. Back there it was like Murder Made Me Famous and Scandal Made Me Famous, but out here there's a couple of one of them's called American Detective, I think, which actually I worked on this past February of 20. Just to, go in for a few lines, whatever. But no, that's what I was talking with one of those guys and asking him, I said, hey, man, I lived here for 10 years. What, how long have you guys been here and doing this? He goes, oh, we've been here for forever. And I was like, I never knew. I absolutely never knew that.
Yeah, but
he told me about the HGTV and all the other stuff. And I was like, well, I wish I'd have known this was here. I could have maybe gotten into it before,
Yeah, well, maybe, but whatever it is that flipped that switch for you, it hadn't happened yet, so it may not have switched if you had stayed here. But yeah, like I found that a very interesting little tidbit as far as, like I don't, that's one of the things that I catch myself a lot. Like we talk a lot of politics, we talk economics on the show. We try to focus more on what's going on locally. Like we got a big stink right now because Randy Boyd's wants to move the Smokies into the Old City. I don't know if you've heard anything about this.
I have not.
Okay, because they used to be right over there in East Knoxville, right off of what's now Hall of Fame in Magnolia area, and they left and they went up. They were at the exit 407, the Sevierville exit.
Right. Yeah.
They've been there for the last little while, and apparently their lease or whatever their contract situation is, theirs running out, and he's now trying to get the county, Knox City and Knoxville and Knox County to help fund him to build a stadium right on the other side of James White Parkway from the Old City. So like where Blue Cats...
Where the hospital is?
No, where Blue Cats and Barley's on the very end of the Old City.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and so the big interstate that goes over right there, and then on the other side of that, it's all like old warehouse buildings and stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But anyway, so he wants to bring the Smokies down there, which would be super cool. I have no objection to the idea of having them down there, but the big political economics debate right now is, how much should we as the citizenry put up for that to help him get that off and running. But anyway, my point in getting into that is like we talk economics and we talk politics and we talk all the stuff that's going on here locally, and it's like one of the big questions that I ask all the time of especially my political guests. It's like like the university and Knox County schools are our two top employers, but it's like what else do we have? We know we have Pilot. We know we have like Weigel's is here. They're not huge, but they're pretty big. Regal Cinemas, that whole distribution company runs out of here and stuff like that. But it's like, what is Knoxville's big industry? And like that's one of those things I don't know those things, and it's always interesting to me to find out those little tidbits. I'm not asking you to answer the question. I'm just saying that's something that
Right.
I'm trying to expand my knowledge on. And that little tidbit that, that goes into, there's a lot of television production that comes out of here. And it's like, I wouldn't have known that. Like, because, you think about like a New York, because I remember the one time I went to New York, which was a miserable trip, for a wedding. And, we're doing a little bit, we're being touristy, we're walking around the city or whatever. And I don't know what the building was. I don't know if it was a current courthouse or if it was an old courthouse that was retired or whatever, but they were shooting. And so you had like the whole team out there. You had all the like box trucks with all the camera equipment off of it. And, people running around setting up the scene and doing all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I've never seen that here. You never see that anywhere here.
Right.
I don't know that.
I don't, with all the ones that you're talking, because you're right, because a lot of people have said that Knoxville has got that, it's getting bigger, but the people I worked with have, I guess their home offices, whatever, off of Cedar Bluff.
Yeah.
And they filmed inside their warehouse area.
Some soundstage kind of deal.
Yeah. So they have their own little area, soundstage type stuff to film, their TV shows and such. But yeah, I mean, I never living there 10 years. I never saw anything downtown or anywhere that looked like a film crew.
Right. I mean, I knew we had Ashley Capps and AC Entertainment, and I knew we had I can't remember the name. It's like something Lighting and Sound, which is one of the biggest concert productions companies in the country, runs out of here. And so like you get like major tours that run around the United States when they were allowed to do so. They would contract through, it's a local company to do all the traveling lights and traveling sound systems when they go into whatever the concert is. I knew that stuff ran out of here. And it stands to reason that if you're going to have that as an attachment to that, having film crew makes sense. But I don't know. I just say it's interesting to me. I want to know, it's one of those, I want to know like all these different little things that go on in this town that I'd never paid attention to before. And
sure.
And that one's fascinating to me. So
I would too. Yeah, I would too. That would be the baseball thing, man, would be pretty sweet, but Knoxville is so small. Anyway, and I don't know, would that make traffic worse than
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know, like when's the last time you actually come into town and hung out?
Didn't hang out. I was in the area a couple of times. Like I mentioned, February of 20, I went and did that little show for the day. They gave me a hotel, so I came in, did the thing, stayed at the hotel, left the next morning. Tidwell was working or something, or no, he was sick or something and couldn't hang out. But back when we moved here in 2019, I had gotten a little commercial that filmed in East Tennessee. So that's the last time I drove through Maryville and went and hung out with Keith at the Pine House afterwards around November of 19.
Right, because like Emory, which is where our home store is, which is 2 exits further north from Merchants.
Yeah, I remember Emory.
Back when I was in high school, at least, there was like a Grassfield Airport, and it was a 1.5 lane maybe road that went from Halls to Clinton, essentially, or Halls to Powell, rather, that ran through all that, and is like, that whole section is blown up. Significantly. The downtown area has done a lot. I don't go hang out there, like, we've grown out of boozing as much and stuff like that. But I mean, the amount of residents that live downtown now, I don't know what the exact number is, but there is a lot of people that live in like lofts and actual like apartments over, like you go down on Gay Street now, like every storefront has something in it. And if it doesn't have something in it, it's getting built out. Like there's a liquor store on Gay Street now, which...
Well, that's pretty cool though, right? I mean, 10 years ago or 15, 20 years ago, that's the old city was nothing. There was, Barley's, and there was the Mother Goose. What kind of restaurant was that?
The Crown and Goose.
Crown and Goose.
Yeah.
But there was still a lot of empty buildings.
Right. And the old city's still kind of their way. It's hit and miss. But like the downtown area, like, I mean, all of Gay Street, all of Market Square is all the ground level units are full of some sort of commercial, whether it's a bar, restaurant, shopping, stuff like that. It's all that now. There's the old city is better. It's more like the Strip sucks. The Strip is dead. The Strip is dead and can continue to die. There's no coming back.
Really?
Yeah. They just spent, I don't know, some $100 million or something on, like, they ripped the whole thing up and they repaved it, so it's one lane either way with divided median with certain sections opened up for turn lanes and stuff. It's just turning into a boxy. It's just turning generic, and that's my problem with it. The liquor store is still there, and we were talking to them. So Neil has a food truck, and the first year he had his food truck, we figured out how to get it down in literally in the door of O'Charlie's.
Oh yeah.
So the guy, with game days, the guy that owns the lots selling all the parking spaces in that lower lot and the top lot, and so we got a hold of that guy. We found him, and we bought the entrance. So literally we were parked up on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. So behind us was the door to get into O'Charlie's because nobody's in there still.
Oh wow!
A tin roof went in for a couple of years, but it didn't last very long. And so
I remember the tin roof. Yeah.
So we were in there and reestablishing our relationship with the Sturkeys there at the liquor store, and they're on a month-to-month lease. The landlord will not contract them, will not give them a long-term lease because he is waiting for somebody to make an offer on that O'Charlie's, because that whole lot is there. And what they'll do is they'll put a 6-story block in place. The ground level will be retail, restaurant, whatever, and then a level of office buildings, and then some apartments on top that the kids will rent for way more than it's worth. And it's
it sounds like East Nashville.
Yeah, that's what the whole strip is turning into. All of it's turning into that. Nobody lasts down there for very long that doesn't have some sort of whatever. Charlie Peppers is an entire company is gone. Both of their restaurants are gone.
Right. Yeah. For years.
I think.
It was the Roaming Gnome for a little bit, because I worked there for a little bit.
I think what's probably left down there that you know of is Hannah's, sort of. Hannah's moved across the street and took over what was RT's warehouse or New Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Which that's the same family of people. That's all been owned by the same people the whole time anyway.
Is that pizza place still there?
Stefano's is still there.
Yeah.
Taco Bell is still there. The gas station is still there. The Shell gas station is still there.
Oh yeah.
And the McDonald's. Crystal's is gone.
What?
The FedEx is gone. The Walgreens is still there. That's about it.
I haven't driven on that strip going from when you get into where Greeny and Chase and Tidwell all live down that part towards campus and towards downtown. I haven't been on that strip in a long time. I was in Knoxville in March of 2019 and went downtown. Right. Downtown, not the strip though.
Yeah, the strip's dead and gone. I mean, it's just gone. Yeah. It's not, and I don't
sucks.
think it's. And I mean, the university doesn't want it back either. As COVID shit was going down, the university was leaning on the city to further restrictions, and they were trying to play the bullshit. It's well, we can't let these kids get sick and stuff like that. And so the few bars that are left down there were the news. Whenever there was a news story about, too many kids in one place at one time or whatever, it was always a campus bar, or too many people congregating because of the pandemic or whatever. It was always a campus bar. It was never an old city or a downtown bar or even a West Knoxville bar. It was always a campus bar that was the problem. Yeah. And, the pandemic for that sake is just killing what's already mostly dead as I understand it. But yeah, that part is, it's kind of a bummer nostalgically, but I don't know if it matters. We're in a kids these days, if we want to feel old, Uber's not a big deal. Like everybody, even in Knoxville, which is spread out as it is, people there's plenty of Uber work.
Really?
Yeah. And so, it's not a big deal to Uber to the old city or Uber Uber downtown and party there instead of partying on the strip. It's not, I have to walk from my dorm to go get hammered.
Right.
I'll just grab an Uber. And hell, I mean, they for a while there, I don't know if they're still doing it, but for a while there, they had trolleys that ran downtown into the old city from campus all night.
Oh, that's kind of cool though.
Right. Or at least they ran till midnight, but it's that gets me to the bar and I can just Uber home.
Right. That's pretty cool.
And so the UT has won that battle. They have killed the strip.
Yeah.
So, but
the downtown looks pretty good when I was down there, because Tidwell works down at Maple Hall. I think he's the manager, main general manager or something like that. But it's the bowling alley, music video. Yeah. It's a cool place, but walking, because that's when I went in. I stayed with Keith and we went down there, and that whole area to me looks like an Austin, Texas, Denton, Texas hipster vibe.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
No, I don't know. I haven't been to Austin or Denton, but yeah, I mean, it's got that. It's got what I mean. In my opinion, that's what's become the generic feel.
Yeah.
But I mean, the dudes in flannels and a vest. And,
right. That's East Nashville too, though, man.
Right.
All around where I grew up is like that.
And overly groomed beards, with like jeans, but some really fancy shoes on or some shit like that. Skinny jeans to boot.
Yeah.
And whatever. I mean, whatever. I don't care as long as it's getting, as long as it's good for the city, it's good for me as a resident. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that like there's kind of a re-urbanization going on in Knoxville. And I don't necessarily have an issue with that. The politics of it get a little funky, and not to, I mean, it's not worth. I'll talk to you about it if you want to, but I mean, not being in it the way I'm in it, it's not really worth. I'm
right.
talking.
I don't know anything about Knoxville politics or really in politics in general.
Right, because I mean,
what's going on here? Because the mayor and governor here are the mayor here is
Well, maybe our county mayor might be taking Bill Lee's job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and do you know who our county mayor is?
Isn't that the wrestler?
Mayor. We call him Mayor Kane on the show. It's Glenn Jacobs. He was asked in an interview a couple days ago. He's like, it's been we know it's been a rough year or whatever, but how are you feeling about being a mayor and being in politics and all that kind of stuff? And do you plan to run to keep this position, or are you thinking of moving up to a higher level? And I don't remember what his exact answer was, but it was kind of insinuated, and some of my contacts, for lack of a better word, have kind of insinuated that there's discussion of him primarying against Bill Lee to run for governor in 22, I guess that one. So
yeah, I think Lee's Democrat, so that means Kane is Republican, right?
No, Lee's a Republican.
Right, Lee's a Republican.
Right, and see, this is what's interesting about it is, is Glenn Jacobs is a libertarian, but he's functioning as a Republican in Knox County. That's a whole separate can of worms that I will go deep. I will go deep into, because I tend to lean libertarian, and one of the things I don't like. I'm happy that if he's libertarian and some of the things that he's done follow the principles and the philosophies, and he's dealing in the system and blah 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 blah. But it's like, he ran as a Republican because you don't win running as a libertarian.
You don't win any other way, right?
Right.
Well, no, that's good, because I kind of lean libertarian as well when I do think about political type things.
Yeah, and so it's
that's interesting. Since I've been back, all people talk about here in Nashville is the mayor this and mayor that, and how they're they're wasting money, and I don't know. It's just like whatever. I don't know how long I'll be here, so you do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, the thing to me, and I think what kind of spurred this from going into private conversations that I've had 1,000 times to let's broadcast this, is I don't see anybody else really having the conversation publicly. Everybody has the conversation behind doors. Like, I don't know what the state budget is, but the Knox County budget's almost $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's $1 billion budget. 600 million of that goes to the school system. And it's like, if I just try to minimize it to what I can actually try to see and feel and understand, it's like, I want somebody to, like, I've actually had an interview with one of the guys on the school board, and I'm working on like a longer story on trying to figure this part out. It's like, the normal political answer when you get into conversations with a politician about what do we do to get better schools, get better results out of the schools, it's always just more money. And it's like $600 million isn't enough.
Right.
Is that's not enough money? And if it's not, okay, fine. But I need the receipts. I need to see why that isn't enough money.
We need to know who all the money's going to. Are
right.
you paying your football coaches too much, or what? What do you? Because you're absolutely right. And with Knox County being smaller than maybe
you have a different animal, and this is something that I've had interest in, and I've had some conversations about. Is Nashville's gone metro, so there is no separate county and city of Nashville government. Where we still have a separate government here. We have a separate city and county government, and that adds. And again, the libertarian part of me gets confused on it because I don't know which makes more sense. And I've floated the idea out. It's like, I'm not advocating necessarily for it. I just want to understand if the format we have is the right format, because we have a lot of issues that are universal issues, whether you're a county or a city resident. Because if you're a city resident, you're both. And if you're a county resident, you're not one. But it's like everything you do is in the city. I don't care if you live in the county or not. I live in the county by a fence. There's a fence in my backyard. The other side of that fence is city. I'm county, but like everything I do is in the city. All the money I spend is in the city, except for my mortgage and stuff like that, and you know, whatever. But it's like, so like, you know, at what point are we kind of separating things for no real good reason? I mean, really, I'm not mad at it because I pay less in taxes because I'm a county resident, and I appreciate that. Yeah, and I did that on purpose. But realistically, I'm using all the city function. The only thing I don't get from the city is fire and trash pickup. You know, but everything else I do all, like, you know, I do all my like all the business stuff that you anywhere. Merchants is city, most of Emory is city. You know, all of Kingston Pike, almost all of Kingston Pike, all the way to the what's the split? It's famous, the Dixie Lee Junction. Yeah, is that what it's called? Yeah, all the way out there, almost all the way out there. It's still like Kingston Pike is city, like almost all the way to the end of the county. But then you go like a block off of Kingston Pike, and it's actual county, not city anymore. So it's been one of those things I've floated around, and it's like, oh, is that a waste of money? Are we losing money somewhere in this game? Because that's really what it comes down to. And it's like one of those, I get lost in the numbers because I'm like, I think money anyway all the time, but I think most people do. I think most people, I think when we're looking at our government, it's like, what are they supposed to be doing? And how much are they spending to do the things they're supposed to do? I think that's a normal conversation to have. And
absolutely, it's normal, but they don't want to have that conversation.
Well, yeah, but we don't put them. We as either constituency or we as in local media, which I pause to say that I count myself as local media, but local media doesn't put it there. Like we don't have that. Like nobody's getting up in a fuss and saying, okay, let's go down this budget. Let's go all the way down this budget and let's see what makes sense here. We're not going into to economists locally, and nobody's putting a big story together. You know,
nobody's taking the task on it when they should be, because $600 million, that's a lot of money for this, you know.
Right, and again, it may not be enough, but
and it may all the stuff they have to pay for the uniforms for this or all the maintenance and everything that has to be done. You know,
see, one of the guys on the show, he always makes a point of it's like, figure out what the number is so that I don't have to pay on top of. Because one of the big frustrations to me and him as well is like first day of school, a bunch of paperwork comes home. We need a check for this. Here's a fundraiser for this other thing. Here's this thing and this thing and this thing. And it's like before, like first day of school, you're writing $400 in checks out to either directly school or auxiliary school related things. And it's like, well, let's figure out what the number is. If $600 million is truly not enough, let's figure out what the actual number is so I can just send my kids to school.
Right.
You know, I don't have to spend $200 on supplies for them and then spend $200 on other stuff that the teacher needs to run the class that year. If realistically that $600 million doesn't get us there, then we need to figure out what it is so we don't have to send the rest personally.
Right.
You know, especially because one of the things I found out from one of our head of Knox County School Board's an elected position. I had my school board rep who represents my portion of the county. And the state of Tennessee kicks out I'm sorry, back up. That $600 million budget averages $10,000 a kid in Knox County. I have the paperwork over here. I've referenced it a couple times recently, and I need you to just get the paperwork out so I remember that number. But I want to say my kid's school spends an average of $7,200 a kid.
Yeah.
And so that's $2,800 a kid that's going somewhere. That's going somewhere else. And I respect the idea that some of the lower income neighborhoods that their schools need more resources to get things done and try to push these kids along. And it's like, I'm good with that, but that much?
Yeah.
You know, is that really the number? Is the difference in the number that 2,800 is the difference in what all of the parents in the communities that have the money can pitch in on day one to cover for the parents that can't?
Right.
Because $2,800 a year is what the kids are short. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to figure that out. I had the finance guy from the school board on, and there's too many. This puzzle is too complicated for me, and I'm trying to I really am.
Well, keep at it, man. Definitely keep at it.
I don't know.
Getting them to talk about it when they don't want to talk about it. They're uncomfortable for talking about it.
Well, no, the thing was, he was happy to talk about it. I just didn't know the questions. Like, I don't know the complex. Like, it's so complex. Like one of the things I put to him. His name's Ron McPherson. He's the the vice something of Knox County schools, and part of his job is he's the head of finance for the schools. And so I did this whole interview with him, and it's like I don't know the questions to ask. Like one of the things I was like, how much does because again the libertarian in me pops out. It's like how much does mandates from the federal government and the state impact what we have to spend in the schools because of like a No Child Left Behind policy like Bush put out a ways back. Like how much does that cost the school system just because some Texan in DC tells us how we have to do schooling? And it's like I don't know, and it's like I don't like I'm too scattered. I'm too scattered on the complexity of it to try to draw a line. And one of the other questions I was like, so in Knox County, we have 9.25%, 9.75 or whatever it is on sales tax. The majority of our budget comes from sales tax, property tax as well. But it's like, so I go out and buy a 6-pack of beer for $10. I pay $1 in taxes. How much of that comes back to the school? Where does it go? Like how, because everything in sales tax goes to Nashville and then gets redistributed back throughout the state. And it's like, well, how much am I paying in taxes that doesn't come back to Knox County schools? How much goes to other state services that are out there? And again, they exist and there's reason for them. But it's like, I cannot find in conversations with him and other actual politicians that are part of this process, I cannot find the line of when I give $1 to the state of Tennessee as a Knox County resident, I cannot follow it anywhere. It just kind of goes, and then this budget shows up over here. And it's like, what am I doing? I don't know. Like, how do you expect, and again, whether it's intentional to try to keep people from asking questions, because it's harder to ask a question when you don't know where to start, because that's really where I'm at.
Right. And that's it's the complexity thing, and most people hate math anyway, right? So you get into numbers and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, just here, I'll pay it.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, and then and you get audited a couple times and you feel good about it, but I don't know. It's been a weird journey, like this whole thing. Like I'm like you're talking about, you went back to school for do your criminal justice thing, and then you got stuck on this other thing. Like this technically started because my day job and a buddy of mine's day job, all we do is drive around town. Most of our job is driving from place A to place B, and so we'd talk to each other. We just call each other and we'd talk to each other and do whatever. And then we get a place and be like, hey, I'll call you right back. And then we do our thing. And then we call each other back. And then we got into this kick where we started screwing with spam callers. So, they'd call and be like, there's a warrant out for your arrest because you haven't paid your taxes right or some shit like that. One of those. And so we started screwing with them. And I've been a podcast person for a while. I've been listening to podcasts for a while. And I was like, that'd be a funny ass podcast if we recorded us fucking with spam callers and did a podcast. And then it was just kind of turned into.
I kind of started from there, yeah.
Right, and then we've done 0 episodes of that nature, because every time I've gotten one, I'm not at home. Like, one of the things I'm trying to work up a system that I can do a mobile version of it, because I have this whole setup in here.
Yeah.
At least for that part of it. But every time I've gotten one at home, they won't hold on a second. She's like, hold on a second, my kids are here. Let me get my kids doing something. Let me get in the other room so I can talk to you. And I'm trying to run down here and set everything up, turn the computer on, get everything going. And they always give up on me before I get there. But again, and it started in like I have fallen in love with doing this. Like I've always loved arguing. I've always loved talking. You know me for that part of things, for sure. But like, it's just been it's been really fun for me to be learning stuff and talking to different people from different places. Like I did a Christmas episode with the kids. Like, what do you guys think about school this year? Like, how was school different this year? How was it the same? All they wanted to talk about was the presents they got. And I got another friend, I got another friend of mine that I'm going to do after this, who, they just had their first baby back in October. And it's like, so your entire pregnancy was pandemic.
Right.
Now it's their first baby, so they don't have a comparison to how a normal pregnancy was. And they are both healthcare professionals themselves, so it's probably a little easier for them because they knew people and they know the system and stuff. But it's like just making it a point to just share normal stories of normal people interacting about normal life, which I think we lose.
Yeah.
And so I got an actor. That's what that was a long story.
No, that's a good idea, man. And honestly, I mean, we haven't seen or talked in a while, but this is a perfect thing for you. Because I've watched a couple of the other, or listened to it, and like what you just said, the arguing and talking, this is a perfect platform for you to get out and say what you want to say or need to say,
But I think, like one of my things is I don't think I'm special. I don't think I don't think I'm particularly unique in the way the way I see what I see. Like, I've got different, different inputs. I've got different, whether it's like, my household, my family, or some of the podcasts that I listen to. And I try to make a point to not get pigeonhole myself into certain categories and certain leanings and whatnot. I have different, like, I'm a big Rogan fan. Everybody who listens to the show knows that this is me trying to be Joe Rogan. I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu or really fighting in general for that matter, but I like to hunt and shoot things if I can and stuff like that. But so like I went from almost exclusively listening to him and I spread out, and like Ben Shapiro's one I listen to regularly, and he's super conservative and he moved his business to Nashville.
Really?
Yeah, like all his production comes through Nashville now. I think he's in Florida, but I don't know exactly what's going on with that. But Jimmy Dore's another one I started listening to, and you want to talk about pretty opposite spectrum politically speaking. Jimmy Dore's a comedian and like pretty hardcore progressive. Like he's a big Bernie guy, and right now he's on a big push, and like why, like this is the time for any of the people, the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars, to force the vote on a Medicare for All plan. Because Pelosi's on the chopping block for keeping her Speaker of the House position, and she with the way this election came out, she needs that progressive caucus group to support her Speaker of the House. And if they go up there and say, "Well, we're not going to support you unless you put it on the floor so that we can vote on a Medicare for All," then we'll pick somebody else. And and it's like I'm the libertarian part of me. It's like I'm not a big fan of the idea of it, but at the same time, we can't keep doing what we're doing and pretending like it's okay. Mm-hmm. Like the Medicare for All is the opposite of what I think makes sense, but it's not what we're doing. So at least it's something. Like that was my stance on Trump. Like Trump to me, when in 2016, it's like, I think he's a moron. I think he's kind of crazy or whatever, but he's not a he's not a career politician. He's not one of these people that we've dealt with that do the same thing over and over again. And I had hope that he was going to really break the system, which he kind of did in some ways, but not the way I hoped. And so, like I think
a lot of people were hoping he would be a little different because he speaks his mind and he does that. He's a shitbag human is what he is. And people were hoping that he would have done something, but he hasn't.
I mean, but he has and he hasn't. There's like, and that's the thing, but what he has done is, to me, he has shined a light on what was already broken. He has broken it worse than it was already broken. Like the division of because this is one of the things I've been talking about a lot with a lot of different people is like we have this left and right. You're left or right, and if you're the other, I hate you. Right. Which has always kind of been there to some degree, but it's gotten further apart now. And but for me, like some of his shitting on the media stuff, I'm not going to get mad at. There are a bunch of specifics where they were very biased in the way they were covering and the way they were treating him and whatever the story and the situation was, and however they could twist it to make him look bad in it, they were doing it. And he was trying to call him out on it. And, but.
Oh, sure. The media, and I have no problem with him shitting on the media either, because they've always done that. No matter who you are,
Right. And I think now in the age of podcasts and the age of social media and stuff, it's kind of changed that to being from like, well, that's not all we get anymore. And so for some people, they really like Trump for the idea of let's break down this media trash and stop, just stop saying, oh, well, CNN says we need to do this thing, or CNN says this is the right thing to do, or they reported it this way. And it's like, well, no, that's the way they reported it. It's not the truth anymore because it's our only option.
And you don't know. You watch Fox News for 10 minutes. And then you watch CNN for 10 minutes, and they're saying the same exact fucking thing against each other. It's just absurd.
Right. And because I don't know. That's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Is that our fault as the consumer of said product of not caring that there's nuance to it and just listening to the one that's
a little, because we're all sitting here being entertained by everything.
Right.
They're going to, since the TV has been around in the 50s, since it, you go back to Kennedy and Nixon debating on the radio and the television, everybody who listened to the radio debate thought Nixon won. Everybody who watched it thought Kennedy won.
Right.
So it's, it's everybody's being fed all this, and well, the TV said so, it must be true.
Right.
The newspaper said so, it must be true.
Right, and I think that's one of the things that's kind of like I don't have an issue with it. I think the trust in the media, I think the media has broken their part of the media as a whole, maybe not as a whole, but the major media as we know it has broken the has broken the trust between them and the consumer anymore. And I think that's one of the things that Trump did that was a good thing. I think he highlighted that. He didn't help himself in the sense, but I think
he didn't help anything. No, I agree with that. But he's broken it, like I think you just said, he's broken it further. He's divided us further.
Right. But see, again, I don't know that he did. I just think he clarified it. I think it was already there. I think it was I think there a lot of the breaking of the norms was stuff that people wanted to say anyway about previous things. I mean, that's really Trump. If you want to break down Trump to the simplest of, he didn't play by the rules. He didn't do the normal thing that you're supposed to do. Whatever the situation was, he just didn't do the normal version of it. And there's a lot of people that the previous time that the same situation happened, they were like, you should say something. You should give a shit. You should fucking fight back on that thing, whatever it is. And everybody else is like, well, the normal thing to do is to say, okay, and move on and to keep the peace or whatever. And I think, I think I think we were past that anyway. And he was just, I think that's why he has such like extreme fans, is because he sounds like what they think in their head and that they don't say out loud.
Right. Yeah, I guess I can see that. I just think he's just not intelligent. He's just not a smart guy, and he never has been. He's been living off his dad's money for his whole life, and he can't relate to these people. All these people that you're talking about, that they hear that, oh, that's what I think. Right, but I don't know how they think they can relate to him. He's a fucking millionaire, and he's a con man.
Yeah, but how do you? But the thing is, and not to play the whataboutism card, but it's like, do you think Biden can relate to anybody any better? I think Biden, with the empathy he has for his fellow human, yes. Now, as an actor, are you better at spotting bad acting than the rest of us?
Oh, I don't know. I should be,
because I think he is a well-honed machine to play politics. Is who I think Biden is, and that's what I think most of them are.
Well, all of them are. He's been doing it for 50 years or however 40 years. He's been doing it, and all of them are you're supposed to be. I mean, that's what they did with Reagan. Used to be a liberal until GMC or whoever got a hold of him and started paying him money. But yeah, you have to
appear to be, and that's the thing about Trump, is that he doesn't appear to be anything he isn't, and that's not to excuse who he is as a shitty person. But at least we know he's a shitty person because he is a shitty person. Where you have a Biden or a Pelosi or a McConnell, I'm not trying to pick on the left exclusively.
Yeah.
They're terrible, shitty people. They're just really good at framing it well and putting out that empathetic feel, even though it's probably not really there.
No, I mean, I don't think Biden. I don't think Biden was anybody's candidate or who they wanted, really. I mean.
That's the worst part.
Silly ass thing. You go back to the South Park thing. You got a douchebag or a turd sandwich. They're all a two-party system. You don't have much to choose from. Right,
and that's part of why. That's one of the things that I advocate on for here, and I think most people should, because I think one of the things that's the biggest problem. And I had the party chairs, both the Republican and Democratic party chairs in here together once or twice actually, and it was a good time. And like this down party thing, this I vote Republican period thing, or I vote Democrat period thing, that's the real problem. We're not voting for the people anymore. We're voting for the party. And
right. No, I've got friends back in Texas that what is it? Is it called a yellow dog Democrat? They're like, no matter what, I'm voting for Democrat. I'm voting for the Democratic person. And I'm like, well, that's just as bad as these people you're making fun of on the Republican side that are saying the same thing.
Right.
Well, I'm voting Trump because he's Republican. Well, right. That's the same thing as,
Yeah, and that's one of the. I think that's that's I don't know how to fix it because one of the a local media person who I actually like, Jesse from the Compass. You guys should all subscribe if you don't already subscribe to the Compass. It's a great. The periodical is non-biased. Jesse has his own opinions, but when you read his news stories, he keeps it pretty straight. But
is it a newspaper or is it online?
It's an internet newspaper. And it's Jesse used to be a writer on it with the Metropulse for a long time.
Oh, cool.
And
Metro Pulse. I used to read that all the time.
yeah.
Awesome.
But he and another guy, same kind of premise as what I kind of get at. They're professional journalists, where I'm wholly amateur and enjoy that part of it. They saw the gaps. They saw the gaps in local coverage, and they're like, well, let's fill those gaps. And so they do that, and they do it through their thing, and it's a pay subscription thing, and I bought it, and it's well worth everything that I've paid for it. But he makes a good valid point. Whenever I start arguing, we need third, fourth parties at the table. That you go around the world and look at some of these other countries that have a multi-party system, and they may or may not be better. And it's like, well, sure, I get that, but the at the end of the day, where the road that I see us going down, if we stay the way we are, what turns either party back to reality? If the only thing that gets you to win is not the other, we're on this constant. Like Trump. I mean, Trump said it 1,000 times. You don't have to like me, but you have to know that I'm better than her in 2016. You don't have to like me, but she is.
Oh no, that's what
bad.
That's what a lot of people said. They're like, yeah, I'm not voting for her. That's for sure.
Right. And for I hope for most people it wasn't because it was a her. It was because of who she is, not because she's a she.
Oh no, I don't.
But
think
my thing, but right.
Person.
But the sad thing is that is true. There is a truism to that you could sit there and go, yeah, I don't really like Trump. I really don't. But man, I like her less. And that is more influence on the vote of to say, because I don't have an option for somebody I actually like. It's just who I like more of the two shits.
Right. And I think a lot of people voted for Trump because of that. But I also know a lot of people didn't vote for either one of them and voted. I can't remember the libertarian guy at the end.
Gary Johnson, he's terrible, but I wouldn't have been mad at it if Gary Johnson somehow pulled off the miracle.
Yeah. But a lot of people is like, oh, well, I'm not voting for Hillary. So, a lot of people voted for Gary Johnson.
Right. And then we get into the whole systematic, electoral college debacle part of it, where it's like, well, because I said it, I was arguing with a good friend of mine who was a very, very staunch liberal and big Biden fan and all that kind of shit. And it's like, if I was like, if I didn't live in Tennessee, if I lived in Ohio or a Florida or a Michigan, one of these battleground states in 2016, I might have voted for Trump. Now I live in Tennessee, and I got the privilege, I suppose, of knowing that voting for Gary Johnson wouldn't give Hillary Clinton the state of Tennessee.
Right.
I knew Trump was winning Tennessee, so me voting for Gary Johnson wasn't going to give her the state. So I knew that. But if I, and which is a weird issue in and of itself to think about, how weird the system is, that I know my vote doesn't count, so I can throw it away on something that I actually actually want. Like I actually want that. Like, Gary Johnson was awful, but he wasn't awful. Like he was a pretty solid libertarian. He was just awful publicly. Like he was like,
right.
Like little shit that it's like, as a libertarian, the Aleppo thing is always the one that comes up. Like there was an interview with him where he didn't know what Aleppo was, which I'm not sure I know what it is. I think it's the capital of Syria.
No, I remember what you're talking about.
But anyway, and
so
like
dogged him out, yeah.
It was a big thing, and you're running for president of the United States. It's doggable. You should get an earful for that. You're a libertarian. You don't care about other countries per se, in the sense that well, that's a country we're fighting an illegal war with. So yeah, let's get our troops back home and not spend money and soldiers' lives on whatever fucking bullshit's over there that's none of our business. But you're running for president. You need to know what's going on the world stage. It's kind of important. But
yeah,
and so he had shortcomings in my opinion, but he was a far superior candidate to me. But the fact that I get the pleasure of voting for the candidate that I actually want, because I know that the candidate that I really don't want doesn't have a chance in my state. Like that's literally the math that I was doing in my head, and that is a problem. I'm voting for the candidate that I want only because the worst version of the candidate doesn't have a chance as far as the system goes. And that's one of the things to me, and I don't know what the solution is, because I do have, like, this is one of those I get into a lot. I don't know. Like, I know what I want. Like, I want the states to be first. I want Tennessee to run Tennessee how Tennessee wants to be run. Or, I'm sorry. I want Tennessee to be run how Tennesseans want Tennessee to be run. I don't care what New York and California and Texas are doing.
Right.
I don't. That's whatever.
No, I agree. I absolutely
I want.
agree with that. If I move to Utah, we need to run our state the way we want to run it.
Right. Because there's value in that for a number of different reasons. And so, as far as the federal elections go, and especially presidentially, it's like I don't know what system makes sense, because there is a problem to me where California and Tennessee, California's got, we all have 2 senators, but California's got like 15 times more representatives than we do because of the volume of people that live in that state. And, it makes sense because, citizens should be represented equally, but I don't want Tennessee to have less voice because we're a smaller state. I want to be left alone. And so it's one of the, I don't know. I don't even know how we got down this far on this path.
Right. Well, no, that's the population. I mean, LA County's got more people than the entire state of Tennessee, right? So that's why they have the more.
Right. And they should. And again, it makes sense. It's just, but again, what does LA County have to do with Nashville?
Right. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
LA County.
I don't know how we got that far talking this either. We can talk about that crappy blanket you got hanging up behind.
Oh, you mean the one that's got actually a chance at winning the Super Bowl this year versus yours? Now, the good one is this one up here. That one right there.
I can't see that one. I mean, I can see it, but I can't read it.
That is my official. That is my lordship.
Oh.
I bought Scotland, and I am a lord of Scotland.
You're a lord of Scotland, are you?
Yeah, I mean,
what part of it? Just lord of the entire Scotland.
Some square foot that has a tree on it somewhere.
Nice.
I don't even know if I don't know how it sits legally, but it's a conservation group. They sell these stupid things, and it keeps like woodlands. Like it basically they sell these things, and it's like they have acres and acres and acres, and they sell a square foot to anybody who will buy it, and they send them this thing, and you can call yourself a lord.
That's cool though. That's good.
Right, because now there's that set of woodlands is there forever. How do you got to get thousands of people around the world to agree to sell off their 1 square foot of land?
Right.
So it's a conservation group, and it's like, well, I get to joke around and call myself a lord, and I keep the woods in Scotland up. Whatever.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
It's a win-win.
Look into that.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
It's been around. I think Snoop bought some, and or maybe Dr. Dre. I don't remember. A couple of rappers bought some. There's some different little groups that are doing they run ads on Facebook all the time, and I got suckered into buying one, but I love it.
That's funny.
No, I got that one. The big one up top there is the national champion 98 national championship picture.
98 nameless. Yeah, I can see that.
Came out of the O'Charlie's on the Strip.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
nice.
when we shut down and we were we were cleaning up. Like I went in and worked. God, what was his name? The district. Anyway,
Dave.
Yeah, Dave Cox. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
I went in there and I was like, they sold the TVs and they were selling all the shit off the walls and shit. I was like, I want that. I remember Neil got mad at me for a long time. Then I got that. But yeah, I got that, and I've had it forever. I about got rid of it a couple years ago. I was like, I don't know, I don't have anywhere to put it.
That's funny. I didn't even think about trying to get anything. I mean, I wasn't there as long as some of those people were. I did get a bobblehead Jesus doll from Charlie Peppers when that shut down.
Well, I didn't. I mean, I bought the TV. I think I got this for free, but the TVs, the big screens that were in there, I bought one of those. Lasted me like 6 months before it shit to bed, but it was like I bought it for like $50.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an old back, like rear projection, 6 feet tall, massive debacle. It was more work moving it than it was worth. Yeah, so I don't know. What's going on with your Cowboys? I mean, come on, man.
They're terrible.
So does Prescott have a contract yet?
No, they're not going to give him one. I don't think
if I'm him, I wouldn't.
I mean, I know he's hurt and all that, but I don't. They need to give him one. They need to tie him in and keep him. But
if I were him, I wouldn't take one.
As long as I don't know who he could succeed with, but if he has a chance to shop around, I would think about that too, unless they can pay him his money. But as long as Jerry Jones is running things, and it's going to be shit, and it's been shit. Now we're just lucky that Stephen Jones has been, kind of taking over more and more over the past few years. And
I mean, the crazy thing to me the crazy thing to me is that are you even officially eliminated from the playoffs going into tomorrow?
No, we beat the Giants and the Redskins lose. We're in.
Yeah, so that's that's what I find fascinating. It's like I love dogging. I like dogging on all those teams, but I love dogging on the Cowboys because I got a number of different friends that are Cowboys fans. But it's like I don't even have to pick the Cowboys. I can just dog on the NFC East. It's like literally we're going to have a 6-10,
7-9 or 6-10. See, that's the thing. Yeah, the NFC East has been terrible for a while. But when the Eagles won it, it's a stupid little thing to say, but the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I'm like, well, now the NFC East is the only one that has all 4 teams that have won a Super Bowl.
Is that true?
Like, if you go with look it up, AFC North, whatever. I don't think every team has won a Super Bowl.
Huh?
Because I have some friends that are Eagles fans, and there's a thing where the Cowboys got their 5, and the Giants have their 4, and the Redskins got 3, and then the Eagles have ring pops.
Well, they got 1 now, but
they finally got 1, yeah.
Well, because I mean, my Packers have 5.
5? No.
4.
4.
1, 2, 30, and 36 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're about to get 5.
We'll see.
I'm pretty sure the McMahon Bears won 1. I'm pretty sure the Vikings won 1 back in the 80s. I just don't know.
Vikings have never won a Super Bowl.
No.
Nope.
Detroit hasn't. I don't think Detroit has won 1.
Detroit hasn't either now. And you go with
that's an interesting factoid. I like that. I like that factoid a lot.
The NFC South. Who's that? Saints, Falcons, Panthers.
Saints have won 1. A couple.
Falcons have never won 1.
Right.
So there's that.
Carolina hasn't won 1. No.
Yeah.
Carolina hasn't won 1. No, the Saints are the only one that won 1. I don't think Tampa's won 1.
Yeah, Tampa Bay has 1. So the NFC West, who's
San Francisco definitely. Seattle's definitely. The Rams have won 1, but I don't think it was when they were in the West.
Yeah, they won with Warner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Arizona,
or
maybe Arizona won 1 with Warner and San Francisco.
No, they played the Steelers and lost to the Steelers. I think. Yeah.
All right.
Because Kurt Warner won
Super
Bowl and lost 2.
So AFC North, Pittsburgh's won a handful.
Numerous. Yeah.
Baltimore's won 1.
Yeah. Cleveland.
And Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati hasn't won 1.
Cleveland and Cincinnati never won any.
Right. So Ohio sucks at football. Check. New England, obviously. Miami, obviously. Buffalo lost like 4 in a row. But Buffalo
and the Jets have won 1, but Buffalo's never won.
Right, Buffalo has won. And Buffalo's got a shot this year. They might finish off the quadruple. That's interesting.
And you got the Titans.
Titans haven't won 1.
Yeah. And then what's the other?
I mean, Indy has, and Houston has not, and Jacksonville has not.
So NFC East, all 4. That's right.
That's hang your hat on that, buddy.
That's all I got, man. That's all I got.
I mean, I hate the Steelers too, but your combined total does beat Pittsburgh's solo, but only by a couple.
What's that?
Super Bowl rings.
Pittsburgh has 6.
Right, and so the NFC East combined total is what, 9?
Oh, yeah. Cowboys have 5. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. No, wait. Giants have 3.
I don't know.
No,
okay,
the Giants have 4.
AFC. Hold on, we skipped one. AFC West is Chiefs got 1 last year. Denver's got a couple. San Diego does not. And
San Diego doesn't. Yeah.
And who's the last one I'm forgetting about?
I don't know. San Diego. But this is where we need Steve Smith. He knows all this crap.
That is absolutely where we need Steve Smith, and he could tell us who the MVP was every year too.
Yeah, he could. No, the NFC East total: Cowboys have 5, the Giants have 4, the Skins have 3, and the Eagles have 1. So 13 altogether.
Okay.
For NFC. Yeah.
Well, my Packers are doing their best. I mean, man,
I think they're gonna go. The Saints, I don't think have it. Breeze coming back from.
Oh, our big
112 broken ribs.
Our left guard is out for the playoffs.
Bakhtiari.
Bakhtiari. and that's a big deal. Like he's
That's a big deal.
MC some knee ligament or something like that is fucked, and he's done. He's done for the season, and that is a big deal. I'm sure we can function around it, but what's interesting to me about the NFL this year is this new playoff structure. I actually kind of like it.
What's different?
We have 7 instead of 6 each conference.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So this year there's only the 1 seed gets a bye week.
Okay.
So 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, and so on down the line or whatever. And so it's essentially just the 2 seed. So we have 7 going in this year. So there's 3 wild cards.
Wait, was that like that last year?
Nope. This is the first year they did it.
It sounds familiar, probably because they were talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so initially I was like, I don't like that. Like what? I don't know. If they go to 8 and there's no bye week, I'd probably have a problem with it. But I don't know. Maybe because my Packers are sitting in the 1 seed and I'm happy about we are the only team in the NFC that's going to get a bye week.
I think the 1 and 2 teams should get a bye week for sure. But
yeah, but I mean, like you got to think how many teams does that add to the playoffs if you do it that way? Because it would at least get us to, I don't know. Because one of the things that I always argue against when we're arguing football is like I think I think both the NCAA had it right. I don't like the current playoff in college football. I think I think they had it right, and I think the NFL has it perfect. In their own, they are 2 completely separate entities in the way they should work, and the way they do work, and the way they should work. I think the NFL has it right. I think more games is a bad idea. I don't mind the idea, of maybe adding 2 regular season games and then going down to only 2 preseason games. That might function, but I don't just the way the sport is played, you can't add that many games and get a good playoff. I mean, you got to think just like I just said, it's like, we got, we're going in the playoffs. We're the number 1 seed sitting right now. As long as we beat the Bears tomorrow, we'll be the one team that has a bye week, but we have one guy, we have a number of guys out for different injuries or whatever, but we have one very important guy out. They always talk about late in the season, early, like either late in the season or first couple weeks of playoffs. They're always talking about NFL is a game of attrition. It's about being healthy at the right time.
Right.
As much as you're joking about Drew Brees and his 112 broken ribs, he's healthy now.
Right.
And him being healthy now could be enough to push them through this whole thing. And, had the timing been different and all that kind of stuff. And that's part of football. And I like that part of football is that it's a tough game and that people get hurt and all that kind of stuff. And so I think
I did too. I mean, you on the Giants side, which I'd love to see Jason Garrett go to the fucking Super Bowl with the Giants, but I don't know if Saquon Barkley is out for the year, but if he happened to come back and they started to get a little bit more healthy and the Giants win tomorrow and win the East, they could go in the playoffs. They could go far. They got a decent team.
Right. And again, that's the thing about the NFL that I like a lot is that it felt right as far as, the length of the season, the ability to get hurt and get back and get all that kind of shit running and stuff like that. And that adding games is going to make that, adding games, you're going to have to add roster, and then it comes into salary cap issues and all that kind of different shit. It's like adding games and trying to manage the health and function, especially in a year like this year, of that many different people and trying to get a good playoff where you have complete teams that are all there instead of it being like this weird hodgepodge of players that you're shoving together because that's all you have available because it's this part of the year and you can't trade.
Right.
You can't fill these holes with other people. It's got to be either on your team or on your practice squad at this point. And if you don't have that, that handicaps you going forward. And so if we add a bunch of games to the season, it's more likely that it's going to be a much worse product in the playoffs. And that's what I don't like about adding games in pro ball. Now in college ball, I don't like. I'm really mad that Ohio State won yesterday only because I bet on Clemson. But I still stick by the rule. It's like we can make the playoffs 64 teams, and it's never going to be good enough. There's always going to be the argument of I should have made it. I mean, I'm watching A&M. I got A&M over here on the side right now, and I figured they were going to be dog stomping North Carolina, and they're barely beating them. But it's early it's halfway through the second quarter.
I don't like this year. I mean, it's the COVID stuff. I don't think Ohio State should have been in the top 4 anyway.
Right, and again, right, and especially considering that whole diatribe that went down on the Pro Bowl is, it's a game of dealing with getting hurt and dealing with players being out. You only played 6 fucking games this year.
Exactly.
You didn't have the
Clemson played 11 games
right.
to 6,
right.
and that's all the wear and tear of travel and everything else.
Right, and then not to mention the COVID and shit on all that top of it. You had half the season, or just over half the season of the team you were playing against.
Right.
It's like you had more players that were 100% than the other team did.
And see, now I have to pull for Alabama, and I don't want to pull for Alabama.
That sucks. Yeah, that's a valid point. I don't know. I mean, and that's one of the things that I love about college ball is that I'm going to pull for Alabama anyway.
Oh, I'm always going to pull for the SEC for sure. Yeah, even if it is
save Wisconsin. If Wisconsin was in it, then I would be pulling for Wisconsin. But that's my other team, and that's what I love about college ball. Is I love that just the way the conferences and stuff all line up, you're allowed to have a little bit more than one team. But then you have a conference thing on top of it because and again, your NFC East is a perfect example. Just because your Cowboys are out, you are not an Eagles fan tomorrow. If the Eagles are the one team in the East that makes the playoffs, I guess it's Washington right now. If everything stays the way it is,
if Washington wins tomorrow, they're in.
Right. So Washington wins tomorrow. Are you playing Washington tomorrow?
No, we play the Giants, so that's the big thing. Is if and the thing is the Cowboys and Giants games at noon, the Washington football team, not the other name, is the late game. So that's the thing. It doesn't matter about whoever wins our game. It's if Washington loses, then whoever wins ours is in. But see, I wouldn't mind Ron Rivera going to the playoffs.
That is a good story. I agree with that. That is a really good story. But
and Alex Smith for that matter.
But I'm just saying, you're not a Redskins fan tomorrow because of the NFC East,
right?
And even further, you're not a Packers fan because they're the NFC. If it's the Packers Chiefs, if it's a Super Bowl I rematch, you're not a Packers fan. Maybe for me. And actually, that reminds me, somewhere in my garage, and I've been meaning to pull it back out and put it back up here on the wall. Now that I'm trying to set up my backdrop, I've got that Rodgers plaque that you gave me, or that you gave the bar that I took when I quit.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
I remember that.
I've been meaning to dig that thing back out. I think I still have your. Did I give it back to you? If not, no, I don't. I've got it. I've got the. You bought an Emmitt Smith one too, same kind of plaque, and I took it when I left.
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I took it when I left because I was like, "Fuck these guys."
That's funny. Yeah, mail it to me, or just keep it, hang it up. But
fuck no, I'm not putting that on.
And we'll talk about it.
No, it's gonna go. I'll put it underneath my desk so nobody can see it, but I'll at least have it out. But
gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like the argument.
Well, if it goes with pros, if whoever wins tomorrow with the East, and one of those makes it to the Super Bowl, I'm going to cheer for the NFC East until they're out. Just because even if it is Washington or New York.
See, I can't get down with that. If the Bears win tomorrow, they're in as the 7th seed, the last playoff spot, I think.
Oh, really?
Depending on a bunch of tiebreakers.
Which I know you don't like them, but I think that would be cool because I'm still pissed, and I'm not really pissed, but I mean they have Trubisky and they have Nick Foles.
Mm-hmm.
If Philadelphia would have kept Nick Foles, they probably could have gone to another Super Bowl. But that's neither here nor there.
That was a great. That was a fun. That Eagles run was interesting, just the way that all broke down. But yeah, I'm not cheering for the Bears. There's no fucking way.
I like my Chase's wife's a Bears fan. But I've always been a Bears fan since Walter Payton and shit.
I mean, I might secretly be a Bear, but I won't say it out loud. I might kind of be on the side, just kind of like, okay, it's cool. It's cool if the Bears win, I guess. But I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna promote it. I sure as shit won't be wearing or showing anything saying so. But yeah, if it's a Bears Chiefs Super Bowl, I'm probably gonna be. I don't know.
I would pull for the Bears just so I can cheer against Steve Smith.
Yeah.
He's a Chiefs fan. He's happier than a pig in shit when they won last year.
Yeah.
Finally, I mean, come on, Steve finally won something.
Hey, he married Mary. He can shut it. He's good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. he face planted into Mary. I don't know how you feel bad for that guy for that life. And he's doing exactly what he wants to be doing right now.
Now he's good. We still talk quite a bit. They got 3 kids. They're doing real good. He's a teacher.
Yeah, that's exactly like if I recall correctly on one of the many drunken nights. That's like he's exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can't. I can give him no sympathies for, or I can give him no bonus. He finally won something with his football team. That doesn't feel. I don't feel any need to give him that bit of support. He's good.
That's funny. So what do you think? The Packers and Chiefs? Who do you think is going to actually?
I mean, historically, it'd be like if it's a Packers and Chiefs Super Bowl, like I could already see the pregame. You know, it's like Super Bowl 1 rematch. 50 whatever years later.
I would absolutely.
I could see all the hype and promo. I might have to make a trip down to Georgia just to laugh in Steve's face when the Packers beat.
Is that where it is?
I thought last time I heard he was in Georgia. I don't know, or Chattanooga area.
No, I thought you meant the Super Bowl. No, they live outside of Nashville here.
Oh, they're over there too?
Yeah. They've been here for a few years now.
No, I didn't know. The last I heard they were in Georgia or whatever. But okay, fine. Then I'll have to come to Nashville and laugh in his face when the Packers beat him. Either way, it's all good to me. But I don't know. I mean, if like looking at it, like it makes sense. I mean, the Chiefs are the Vegas says the Chiefs are not only winning the AFC but the Super Bowl by a lot. I mean, I think the Chiefs are actually, I think they're minus a little bit to win the AFC, and they're only like plus 250. They're barely like they're 2.5 to 1 to win the Super Bowl on the future right now. So if you put $100 on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl right now, you're I'm sorry, if you put $250 on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, the first version. If you put $100 on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl right now, you're only going to get paid $250 back.
Yeah.
Well, you get paid $350 back. You get your original $100 back, but you get $250 on top. Yeah. Where I think
they will. I don't know who Pittsburgh and Baltimore maybe can beat them. I don't even. Is Baltimore going to make it to the playoffs?
I don't know. I think Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh's a threat. I think Pittsburgh. I was looking at it. I mean, they did win last week. They did beat whoever last week that was a better team, one of the better teams they played this year. But they haven't. Like if you look at their schedule, they had one of the worst record schedules, like one of the least winning record schedules in the NFL as the season's gone on. So I mean I honestly, as much as I hate it, especially because my neighbor's a big Titans fan, Titans got a shot. I mean, they got a shot to make a run.
They do. I'm back here. All my friends are Titans fan, even some that were Cowboys. I'm not a fucking Titans fan. I never will be a Titans fan. As far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, they're still the fucking Houston Oilers. So.
And so, which is funny because like in hockey, like I've always been a Penguins fan since I got into hockey. But I do like watching Predators hockey. But I don't make that exception for football. I've been a Packer. I was raised a Packers fan. I'm a Packers fan as long as I can remember. But I do not make that exception for football. Like I enjoy seeing the Titans win. I did enjoy seeing the Titans win until one of my neighbors. We have a running bet now, and now I hate to see the Titans win because if the Titans win, I lose my bet. We have an automatic no line. We bet on the opponent. So he has whoever the Packers play. I have whoever the Titans play. And this year it's been kind of funny because I think I'm up 20 on the year. Because there's only one week where they lost and we won, where either we didn't both lose or both win, or we flip-flopped like in successive weeks. Like I won one week and he won one week, or I won one week and he lost one week. He paid me $20. The next week I lost, he won. I paid him the $20 back. So I think I'm up 20 years total, or 20 total. Now we have a secondary bet on conference championships, which it looks like they're going to hold that out too. And I've had mine locked in for 3 weeks now, so that's going to be a wash. And then I think we have a secondary Super Bowl bet that I don't remember. I think we have. I think it goes up to $50 a game in the playoffs, and then $100 for the Super Bowl. So he's going to lose early in the playoffs, and I'm going to keep making money throughout the process. But
the Titans can win it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like watching Derrick Henry.
Throw people around, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, I really do, but I'm just not. I'm not hardcore Titans.
Right, I'm not either. That's exactly how I am. Like until this stupid bet with my neighbor got set in stone last season, I used to be like, okay, Titans game. I like to see the Titans win. I'm not mad if the Titans win, but now I'm mad if the Titans win.
Right.
I have no love. I lost all of it. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like I think, I think the Chiefs are the easy pick, but. I need to pull it up to see who's there. I mean, I think Pittsburgh. I don't like Pittsburgh. I think Tennessee is probably the best other one. Miami, weirdly enough, fuck you, Tyler. I mean,
That's right.
Like, what's
I was actually about to say something about Miami because I would like to see Tua and Fitzpatrick just fucking do it
that's fascinating to watch. But it's weird to me is that how much the how much the AFC East has gone irrelevant since Brady left. Like that's what it feels like to me. It's like, oh, AFC East. Yeah. Well, Brady's not there. Who cares?
No.
Yeah, I mean, okay, obviously, I mean, I guess Buffalo is probably, and this is the sad part, is that we're talking about Miami when Buffalo's going to win the division. And so, yeah, like, when's the last time the AFC East had two teams in the playoffs?
Shit, who knows?
Yeah. But who cares? The AFC East doesn't count because Brady's not there anymore.
Right.
Which Tampa is making the playoffs, and good on them for it, but... I just.
Well, you never know about that either, man. They can go all the way in the East. The NFC.
Tampa beat. That was one of the weeks I lost. Is Tampa beat Green Bay, bad too. It was a gross. They dog stomped us, and it was pretty. It's pretty painful.
So it's gonna be interesting. It'd be kind of cool to see if Tampa Bay went back just so Tom Brady can screw over Bill Belichick or whatever.
Yeah, it'll whether it was Brady or whether it was Brady or Belichick, and so that is interesting.
I would like to see Seattle go, but I'd like to see Russell Wilson win another one.
No, fuck that.
Because I like.
The immaculate interception still hurts my feeling. Like I'm still mad about that one from 15 years ago, whatever it is. I'm still mad at that game. What was that? That was the year of the replacement refs. I'm still angry about that. Yeah.
I can say the same thing about Des Bryant and the catch that he caught against Green Bay that they called back, and the Cowboys would have gone to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, he's still a Cowboy, so fuck him. What?
Nah, he plays for Baltimore.
Does he?
Yeah.
I figured he'd go to Tampa Bay like everybody else that's old and washed out.
Now Des went to the Saints and got hurt, and then Baltimore picked him up from maybe the practice squad or whatever, but they brought him up a few weeks ago, and didn't play him until last week. He's had a couple of catches, so yeah. It's just another receiver for Lamar Jackson, who I actually love. I wish Baltimore would go all the way because I've been a Lamar Jackson fan since he was in college.
Yeah, out of Louisville, yeah, just up the road. Yeah. I mean, and he's interesting because because I remember early in the Michael Vick era where I was like, man, that guy's good, but I don't know if that quarterback's going to make it. Like, I don't know if that style, I don't know if that thing's going to be a thing. I don't know if the NFL, because the joke to me was always like, your quarterback can run a 4.40, but that 275-pound defensive end can run a 4.540. So, it's not like college ball where he is the best athlete on the field anymore. He might be, but he's only by a fraction where he used to be by, a bunch. And so, but it has. I mean, I think that's one of my favorite things about the NFL right now is that I really think the game has gotten to a new level for that. Is that we have these running quarterbacks that are functionally good and staying functionally good. You got Mahomes, you got Lamar Jackson. I mean, you're not anymore, but Roethlisberger was kind of in that game back in the day. Brady has never been that, but I can't believe I just that is the worst Freudian slip ever. Rodgers used to be. I mean, there were games. There was a stretch there where Rodgers was the number one rusher in games. Like he had the most rushing yards in tons of games because we didn't have the back that could support him. But that part of the game has been really fun to watch. I think that's it's exciting to me how the game has evolved in that part of it. In that I didn't think because who's the guy in Washington for a while? RG3.
Right.
Like he was what I expected that kind of quarterback to end up as, is just getting beat to shit week after week.
Well, that's the fucking that's Shanahan's fault on that.
Right, but I'm just saying that was my expectation is they wouldn't have a career. They wouldn't have a long enough career. And so you have a Rodgers and you have a Brady who are more of a traditional pocket quarterback that, the field general, the Peyton Mannings, getting out there, and like Peyton couldn't run. Peyton ran what, like a 10-2 40 or something like that. You had those guys on the same field, lining up where the team on the other side had a guy that was running the 4.2 40 like this, that could run but could throw the ball and could do all the things, and that the game still works. and that one has not taken over for the other. They both exist at the same time. And I really enjoy that about the game because it really changes, like, it changes the way defense is played. It makes me win a lot of money because I like to bet overs anyway. I love betting overs. And so if anybody that listens is a gambler, if you haven't bet overs all season, you should have, because it's been money, because some of the rule changes too have made it easier to get overs, but just the way the game plays and it encourages offense and it's fun. It's just fun to watch, and
I love it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, who's gotten better as a passing quarterback. But you go look at what's the guy's name for Buffalo? Allen.
Yeah,
he's a runner, and so is Trubisky or whatever his name is for the Bears. He can run.
Right, and you got
if they would just use him properly.
Right, and you go back and you go back to what you said earlier, Russell Wilson. I mean, he has that aspect,
right?
But it's not him. He's not only, and Vic had it back in the day, but he was the first, and nobody knew what to do with it. Nobody knew how to use it right, and so that I don't like being wrong and admitting I'm wrong, but I mean, if Michael Vick hadn't been stupid, he could probably still be playing today. Like,
sure.
Stupid off the field, like just stupid off the field, because he was still solid when he came back in Philly. Like, he was good.
I thought so, yeah.
And I just don't think I don't think he was ever smart enough. He was never that smart. He was not like a Lamar Jackson smart on top of the skill and the talent part of it, but. That I didn't think that would be a thing that would make it in the NFL, and it did. And I'm not mad at being wrong about that one.
Yeah. Well, there's been some other ones, though. Steve Young was a running quarterback, and Fran Tarkenton, but not to the level of, of these guys. But, yeah. I like watching it more. I like watching those guys more than I thought I would. Just because it's exciting. Especially Patrick Mahomes, just the way he plays football.
He's just gross. Like, he's a
Magic Johnson that is passing the
yeah, left like I'll just throw left-handed this time. Whatever, no big deal.
Right.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
So, I don't know, man. This has been awesome. I'm really proud. I'm really proud to watch what you've been doing. It's really been it's really been a joy to watch your Facebook, and I'm glad I took the chance to catch up with you more than just texting back and forth through Facebook. And
absolutely, man. I think if you still have my number, feel free to keep in touch. I think I still have a number for you. I don't know if it's the same.
Yeah, I haven't changed my number in a decade, bro. More than that. And
I've got the same number I've had for 22 years. So yeah.
Cool.
But no, man, this is cool, man. I'd love to get back on there.
Yeah, dude, we'll do it again. So the last thing to do is since you do have a public persona that you do, is there anything you want to plug? Any of the projects you've done? Anything you're working on that you want to tell anybody about?
Not working on anything, but that one documentary you always asked about when it was going to be available, The Great Hanging.
Yes, I still want to see that.
Yeah, it's available to rent. You can rent it for $1 or buy it for $3, I think. But it's on Vimeo. I'll send you a link.
I mean, is it bad that I? It's not more that I want to learn anything. Is that I just want to watch you hang? Is that bad that I just want to see that part?
That's actually
that's
what
valid.
Anybody wants. That's what everybody wants. But no, that's available on Vimeo. It's called The Great Hanging. The true story of back in 1862, where my character and the other characters are not characters, but the gist was in Gainesville, Texas, that the Texas militia captured and hanged 40 people, just pretty much on rumor that they were spies for the North. So, but no, that's available out there. The Last Whistle, which we mentioned, starring Brad Leland, is available on Netflix. I got a couple of scenes in that. There's a film called Hooking Up with Brittany Snow that I have a scene with her. If you blink, you'll miss me, but I'm in it. You can send me something. But it's a little sad. I didn't have any dialogue, but it was cool to be in that part. There's a really fun movie. I don't have any dialogue, but I've got some decent screen time. Like I said, I'm not I'm just starting out in my old age. But there's a campy horror film called Satanic Panic, starring Rebecca Romaine. And
I mean, okay, you already sold it. Just go ahead and tell where to find it, because Rebecca Romaine's
it's called Satanic Panic. It's about a pizza girl delivering pizzas in a rich part of the neighborhood, and she's goes back to they don't tip her, they stiff her on the tip, so she's going to go back and get her tip. Well, it's Satanists in the backyard doing their thing, and I play one of the cultists and stuff. It's a good little thing. It's got Ruby Modine in it, Haley Griffith, like I said, Rebecca Romaine, Jerry O'Connell's in it. that was a fun little thing to film in Dallas a couple of years ago. So it's good. It's good stuff. It's funny. It's not like scary. It's kind of maybe campy is a good word for it.
Yeah,
but it's a good film. If you like those kind of gory, it's a Fangoria film. Remember the Fangoria magazine?
Yeah.
They're the ones who produced the film and made the film. So as far as that, I mean, there's nothing else to plug. We'll see.
Cool. All right.
Hopefully something comes down the pike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully things will go back to normal. You can come back to Knoxville and you can be a dead guy on all the different reality, the true crime stories that are going on.
I know. I need to look that up because that one thing I did work on, I just played a prisoner, but I did have, a few lines in one of the scenes. I don't know when that's going to be put out there. And if anybody's listening, I don't know, keep an eye out for it. I got to do a thing in Oklahoma last year or 2019 called The Battle of Honey Springs. It's a documentary, a Civil War battle fought in Oklahoma in Indian Territory.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you've seen the photos there on the Facebook where I've got the fake beard, but I play a Union general.
Uh-huh.
So I had the big fake beard and the uniform and everything. It's pretty sweet job. It's pretty
cool.
fun.
Yeah, I mean I'm a documentary person anyway. Like that's like I watch probably more documentaries than like I don't know what the technical term difference is as far as.
No, yeah, I do too, man. Netflix or Netflix has documentaries and a lot of them do, Amazon and stuff. Yeah. I think you'll check out The Great Hanging if you get a chance. It's a buck to rent. I think you'll enjoy it. It's only like 32 minutes, but it's pretty good.
I need to make a chance of that. And like I said, I've got the Last Whistle on too, and I need to watch that. So outro music. Aaron Martin, everybody, look him up on your social media places. We can all together watch his career grow. See if we can't get him into things that he shouldn't be in, because we'll flex our influence on him. But like I said, Aaron's a good friend. We go back 15, 20 years, something ridiculous like that. And it was super fun for me to catch up. It was I don't know, to go back to the very beginning. It was neat, maybe not the best word, but the incident in Nashville on Christmas. It was a thing that. I'm kind of weirded out that we didn't get the coverage. Like, it didn't seem like that big a deal, and it is that big a deal, and I don't know why it wasn't made a bigger deal. And so, but I don't know. Anyway, not to end on a sad note, it was a great conversation, great catching up. We'll do it again. Maybe we'll do a show that's more about like the nuts and bolts of trying to get into the business. We are almost in agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. All those handles work. Check us out. Give us a like and a share. Tell your friends about us. If you got something you want to hear about, ask. We'll see if we can do it. Good night, everybody.